Is this the perfect harmonica tuning? Let's find out. I recently received this one-off harmonica. This is designed by a guy called Patrick Byrnes, who I think is over in the US. So he emailed me and he got in touch with Sugar Cain Harmonicas, who have produced this model for me to try out. Patrick is a retired educator and he's a harmonica enthusiast, and he's just putting these tunings out there. He's coming up with ideas all the time, and he's trying to improve on the standard Richter tuning. Now, the whole idea with this one is that it's available to play chugging in all three chords, the 1, 4 and 5 chords, and also to move around the blues scale in all of those chords as well. So he was quite excited when he emailed me about this. He's not trying to make money out of it, and I thought I'd do a little video describing what's going on here and sharing this tuning with you, because he's happy for people to create their own versions of it and try them out. So it's got a lot of things that a normal Richter tuning doesn't have, and I want to explain sort of some of the quirks of it. You can get the flattened 7th note on the 4 chord, which usually you'd have to overblow to get that note. So for us, that is hole 6. And you can also get the 5 chord, you can get that flattened 7th, and you can also get the 3rd and the 5th. So up near the top end, if you do holes 7 to 10, you can get the notes, you can arpeggiate that 5 chord as well, which you can't usually do on a Richter tune. You have to bend the notes or overblow in the middle octave. So what that means is you can kind of chug away on all 3 chords by picking the area of the harmonica that you want to use. Next to 4. And then up the top. So you've kind of got this extra ability on the 4 and the 5 chords for chugging. He described it to me as a chugging harp, or the chug harmonica. So if you've missed that opportunity, especially on the 5 chord, to kind of play a chord basically, you can do it up there. Now, of course, the downside is you've got to go up the top end to get that chord, so there's no way of playing it down the bottom, but then how would you fit it in down the bottom as well as having the 1 and the 4 chords? I really like that you can get that flattened 7th on the 4 chord in the middle octave without having to overblow. I think that's a really cool thing that a lot of people would like. But then the downside of that is you then have to swap the 5 draw for the note that would have been the 6th blow, and that means you don't have the flattened 7th on the 1 chord unless you bend. So you can bend and get it. If you don't bend, you get the octave. That does mean you can play an octave on the draw, which I've just realised, which is very weird. It feels very strange. But you have to bend to get that flattened 7th on the 1. So that's a full tone bend on hole 5, which you can do because there's enough gap between the blow and the draw notes to kind of bend that much, which normally you can't. So you can get a kind of arpeggiate all the chords, but you have to bend a note on the 1 chord, whereas normally you wouldn't. So on a normal tuned harmonica, you could just, but here, you can't. Say you're just arpeggiating the chords. You've got every note except that flattened 7th on the 1 chord. So you only have to do one bend to arpeggiate all those chords, all 3 chords, which is a big improvement on normal, except that they're in different spaces on the harmonica, so it feels quite, I don't know, I don't like having to move around. I don't mind having to do the bends on the lower holes, because I suppose you just get used to that. You can contain yourself, you can play through all the chords in that area of the harp. Now I did mention you can bend and get that flat and 7th on the 1 chord on a 5 draw. You can bend that down a tone. Every draw note bends because all the draw holes are higher than the blow notes. So you can get they're all draw notes and they all bend. You can't... The blow notes won't bend because the note is always lower than the draw note. This isn't the first harp to do that by any means. There are other harps out there that do that sort of thing, but it's kind of a cool feature that it's got. I think for me, I am so used to a Richter tuning, and I think this is the case for a lot of people, that it's sort of just strange coming away from it. And even with all the flaws that Richter tuning has, it's kind of my dinosaur brain struggles to deal with it. Now there are people out there, person that comes immediately to mind is Brendan Power, who can switch from one tuning to the next, and I mean he's a genius. And there are other people out there. Will Wilde has just released his own tuning as well, and there's loads of other people doing some cool tunings, and they're more able to move between things. I'm just so used to the flaws, you work out kind of workarounds. This feels a bit to me like the harmonica equivalent of the Esperanto language. Patrick has worked really hard at this and come up with some really cool things that you can do with it, but just like Esperanto, it's kind of perfect on paper, but people are so used to flawed languages that it's very hard to get them to switch over to that, and that's why people kind of don't speak Esperanto. I'm a harmonica dinosaur, okay? I play the tunings I know, and that's it. You might be better with this, which is kind of the main reason I wanted to share it with you. Patrick is kind of giving this out, wants people to try these things and give you that chance to maybe get one of your own made and hopefully do more with it than I can, because I don't think I'm doing it justice. So what do you think of it? Give me your comments beneath the video. I'll try and join in the conversation. I look forward to hearing your comments, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers.